today I'm going to show you how to make meatballs for the meatball sandwiches. I've already pre-measured my ingredients, and in most cases, because this is your measuring unit, you'll have one day to probably measure everything for your meatballs and for the sauce that goes with the meatballs. If you're an ambitious class, you may be doing it all in one day and then cook the next, so it just kind of depends on your class. In here, I have already put our ground beef, and I have a ½ pound of ground beef in there, and that's what you will have per pair to share. It makes plenty of meatballs. And in that, I'm going to combine my other ingredients that are add flavorings and enhancements that kind of bind the meatballs together. So breadcrumbs is going to be one ingredient that we're going to add. You can, we just got these from the store. You could also make these homemade. If you make them homemade, it's going to make a lot, and they taste very good, and it probably would be even better. I have some salt and pepper. On your recipe, it says 1 teaspoon. If you like a little more salt or you like a little more pepper, you can adjust your recipe. And then I have some French fried onions and an egg for binding. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so to these French fried onions, it says in your recipe that you want to coarsely crush them. So to do that, you can just put them into a baggie and just smash it around with your hand, and that will work just fine. The reason why you want to coarsely crush them is because French fried onions come like so. They're somewhat big, and you don't want huge chunks. The reason why we're adding these French fried onions, it gives the meatballs a nice dimension of flavor. Usually you'll see like most meatballs have like onions in them, but it's a fresh onion. This just gives it more of a distinct taste. It's already cooked, fried. I think these are better. I like them better. Okay, so I'm going to add them directly to my meat mixture. Get them right in there. And then I'm going to add my breadcrumbs. And this just binds your meat together because you're going to be adding egg. It helps not make it as moist. And then I have my 1 egg that I've lightly beaten. And I'm just going to add that right to the mixture. This is what binds it together, makes it stick. And then I'm going to have my salt and pepper. And I did my salt and pepper by eyesight, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in. You don't want them too salty or peppery. And I'm actually going to mix these by hand. You can use a wooden spoon. My hands are clean, but I don't want meat in my fingernails, so I'm going to be using gloves. And then you're just going to mix that around until it all clumps together and is one big ball. You don't want to see the egg. Okay, just like so. And then what you're going to do is you would either put this in the fridge and let it kind of gather its flavors overnight, almost like a marinating the ground beef. Or what we're going to do for the purpose of this video is shape your meatballs and bake them. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You don't see it's shiny. It's definitely moist. I'm going to take my gloves off. And then to shape my meatballs, I'm going to be using a portion scoop. And a portion scoop makes nice, perfect, equal-sized meatballs. If you don't have a portion scoop, you could use a tablespoon so they're still equal, and then just form round spheres. So, let's see how much easier my portion scoop makes this. So they're all the same. Okay, I'm just going to put it right on like so. I could go back and I could make that even more of a round sphere. Just depends how meticulous you and your partner like to be. You get the general idea. Then what you're going to do is you're going to bake these in the oven at 350 degrees. It says for about 18 minutes. Now, in the convection oven, they'll probably cook a little bit quicker. You just really want them to be thoroughly cooked through. So this is going to make a lot of meatballs. You can always just cut through one to see if it's done. As soon as they're done, I'll show you, and we'll be back. Thank you. Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to make the marinara sauce for the meatball sandwiches. And you will be also obviously watching the meatball sandwich demo. You probably will have a day to measure this. The goal of this lab is that you are obviously following the amounts listed in the recipe, but we really want you to practice your measuring by eyesight. With a recipe like marinara, meatballs, if you are a little low on something, like if you're low on salt, you can always sprinkle some salt over the finished product, and it tastes fine. So really try to measure or practice your eyesight measurements for this lab. The first ingredient you're going to be using is whole canned tomatoes. I've actually, for the purpose of this demo, I had like stewed tomatoes, very similar. The point that you want to do is when you want to drain the juice, okay? So if you were using whole tomatoes, it would look like whole tomatoes here. And then this process, you're going to put it over a strainer with a bowl, and you really just want to get any of the fibrous insides out. And you just want it to break everything open, so you're getting all, like any seeds or anything like that out and draining them off. And it says in your recipe that you're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes. So while that's going on, I am prepping my pan, because this recipe calls for onions and all that good stuff that goes into Italian cuisine. So what I'm going to do is you're going to heat up 1 tablespoon of olive oil in your pan. While that's heating up, I'm just going to explain a couple of things. There's olive oil listed in 2 different ways in this recipe. It's like at the top and then again at the bottom. And students get confused, like, oh, well, the recipe's made a mistake. No, recipes go from the order you use them. So you're going to be using olive oil twice in this recipe, which is why there's 2 separate measurements. Okay, so as that's heating up, you're going to be using 1/4 of an onion, okay, which I've already finely chopped up for us. Okay, just like so. You are going to be blending this a little bit later, so if it's a little bigger, it's okay. So you know. This is all heated up. It's shimmering, so it's ready to go. When you put your onions in, you want them to sear. You want to hear that nice noise. And then you're just going to move them around. And I'm just using a rubber scraper. You can use a wooden spoon, a turner, whatever you want. And you're just going to cook these for about 6 to 8 minutes. Until golden brown and somewhat translucent. So we'll be right back. Alright, so our onions are nice and golden brown, as you can see. You just do that slowly. Don't bang up your heat or else they'll burn. Okay, so to this I'm going to add some dry oregano, and I'm going to add some freshly cut garlic. And I'm going to let this cook for 30 seconds just so you should be able to smell it. It'll be very, very fragrant. Just move it around, and just keep stirring. Make sure you get everything coated with that dry oregano. You can really smell it, smelling very Italian-like. Okay, and then to that, I'm going to come back. My tomatoes have been resting. Okay, and I'm just going to add them in to this. You can hear the sizzle. And the recipe says to increase my heat. So I'm just going to increase it to about a 6. So I still don't want it to burn. And I'm going to cook this until, and I'm going to constantly stir so it doesn't stick or burn in any place. I'm going to cook this for about 8 to 10 minutes or so. And it's going to start sticking, and that's the point that you want. That's why you want to keep moving it around. It's going to be like a very concentrated mixture, and then we'll be adding some tomato juice. So we'll be right back. So we cooked this for about 10 minutes now. It's going to give or take depending on how much liquid left in your tomatoes. You can see there's this brown bond on the bottom. This is just everything cooking off. When I add in my next liquid ingredient of tomato juice, it'll kind of take all that together and add some really nice flavor to your sauce. So our next step is to add in 1.5 cups of tomato juice, okay, which is almost just about under a can, so you are going to have to take a little bit more from another can. Okay, I'm just going to add this in, and I'm going to reduce my heat to a 5, because I don't want it to evaporate up too much. I'm going to stir this, and I'm going to bring this to a simmer, and then after it's been brought to a simmer, I'm going to transfer this to, you can transfer this in class to a food processor, or you can just use an immersion blender in class and you can mix this up. Once it's been brought to my simmer, I'll show you how to do that. So we'll be right back, and as you can see, this has been simmering for about 8 to 10 minutes, and the reason why you let it simmer for that length of time is just the flavors get developed, and as it cooks, some of the moisture, the liquid evaporates. So it's right where we want it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off that just because I don't want any type of reaction to take place. I'm going to start blending this right up. And to save on cleanup, I'm using just the immersion blender, inserting it right into the pan. Now you can use this, a blender, food processor, whatever is available. The immersion blenders are limited, so you might be using, some people might be using this, some people are blender, etc. So to use this, you're just going to start off on low. I'll be right back just to check them out. So my little blender wasn't even plugged in, so now it is, and I'm going to start off on low. If you start off on high, it might go everywhere. Just going to kind of tilt it, and you're just blending this until chunky. So the whole point is you really just want to kind of break up those tomato pieces. So we'll be right back when I'm at my chunky consistency. Alright, so I have finished blending our sauce, and as you can see, it's still somewhat has big chunks in it. If you want yours very smooth, you can do it to your taste buds and your liking. So to this, I am going to be adding in the remaining of our ingredients, and these are all flavor enhancers. So the first one I'm going to be adding in is some sugar. And it's just a small amount of sugar, and a lot of time people are like, why are you adding sugar? And it's just to cut down on the acid in the tomatoes, because you have whole tomatoes and the tomato juice. So it just cuts down on that. Also to that, we're going to be adding in some Parmesan cheese. And this will actually just melt in. Just shredded parm. And then some salt and pepper, which I've measured by sight. You can, again, adjust these flavors where you feel necessary. Some fresh basil that I've cut up. Just right into there. And then your remaining oil that was the second oil measurement. Okay. I'm just going to stir that around. So, and then you're going to use this with your meatballs for assembling, and then the brown sauce, which I'm going to show you in 1 second. Thank you. So now our sauce and our meatballs are just about done. The last thing you're going to do for your meatball sandwiches is this brown sauce that you're going to be spreading on the bun. It just adds a little zest, a little heat, another dimension to your sandwich. So, to your pot, you're just going to lightly heat this up. I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of brown gravy. I'm just doing heaping. You can do this by eyesight. I just got pre-made beef gravy. Okay. And then also about 1 teaspoon of horseradish. Horseradish is it has a little kick to it, so you're just going to be doing a very little amount of it. And then we're just going to stir this on up until it's all combined. And again, this is just another enhancement that you spread on your sandwich. You're just going to wait for no chunks, like so. And we are just going to there you go. Okay. Now what you're going to do, show you how to assemble this. So I have here our brown sauce, our marinara that we've made, and then our finished meatballs that took about 10 minutes to cook. You can do a couple different things. You can put your meatballs on the bread, or you can put them into the marinara. It's your choice. For the demo, I'm just going to put them into our sauce, like so. Just going to put a couple. And you're probably going to have a good amount of meatballs, depending on how big you make them. Depends on clearly how many you're going to have. I'm just going to give this a nice little twirl around, like so. This will just add a little flavor to the meatball. You don't have to do it this way. Use your creativeness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this sauce that we just made, and this is literally, you're just going to use a little of it right on the bottom there, and a little here. It's like you won't even know it's there. Okay, and then I'm going to take a couple meatballs. Probably going to get about 4. Put it right on there like that. I'm going to take a little extra sauce. You can put a little Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese. and then you're gonna be able to eat and enjoy. Thank you.